2 apartments ago, I used to turn off my air conditioner and just sweat and die in my apartment. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good.
Growth.
I'm good now.
Self-care.
I'm 36 years old. I can leave my air conditioner on if I want.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Hello. It is me. Nada.
We are back at it again, starting out a whole fresh new month with I was going to say fresh new director, but I guess new for us, not new director. I think if I look up his breadth of work, he's been around a while. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth was, 2006?
Yes.
Let's see. So let me look at his earliest credited. Yeah, he has shorts from 1982 where he worked on screenplays. So if you haven't caught it by now, we have watched Guillermo Del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth to kick off his month. Funnily enough, when I was looking through, kind of trying to understand the history better for this movie to know what to talk about, since there's a lot of things that are kind of shown and not told to us, which is perfect. That's how I prefer my movies. It says that a lot of people consider this his magnum opus. And imagine he's still coming out with movies. And people are like, this is his peak work.
Yeah, it is just funny because it's just how the list came up. This feels like it's such a night and day difference from Wes Anderson. Between
the visually appealing but not really in depth to this really very layered story.
Mm-hmm. Funny enough, so one thing that we've been doing for every director when we start the first episode is to find an article or something that pretty much, hey, what makes this director, what are they known for? And I found an article literally 2 seconds ago because I'm like, I never looked anything up because I've been busy with other things, where they're like, hey, here's 10 things, and it's literally just 2 sentences for each of the 10 things. And I'm like, why can't they all be like this? I don't need
essays.
Yeah. And so if you want, I can just run through some Del Toro stuff real quick.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So first on this list of 10 is visually rich aesthetics. So they're visually stunning, characterized by rich, detailed visuals, and immerse audience in elaborate worlds. Which, yes, I would say we see that in this film, and I'm ready. I've seen 3 out of the 4 movies on this, and I'm like, I would agree with that statement. Especially number 2 on this list, dark and gothic themes. Maybe not next week's movie, but I feel like wait, what's next week's?
Next week is not the dark gothic one.
Yes.
The third one is.
The third one is definitely gothic as all get out.
Fourth is we'll find out together.
Yep. So, but yeah, the dark and gothic themes, I enjoy a lot. Complex and sympathetic characters. I would say complex, and there were some that are sympathetic. Well, there was one in this movie. I didn't remember how much of a turd he was.
Yeah, I didn't either. But it's funny. So I attend a horror book club once a month, and somebody mentioned as you get older, you kind of become more aware of how bad things hurt when you see it in a movie. And I didn't think about it because definitely when I was a young adult, early 20s, late teens, I would watch things that were essentially gore, and I'd be like, whoa, those effects are cool. And then this movie, because it's not set up to be that kind of movie and it just feels really cruel, the first time he does something physically harmful to someone else, I was like, I winced every time it hit the guy, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was sitting there too. I'm like, I don't remember this scene at all.
It's a really long scene.
I was like, it's still going, and his dad's just there just watching it. Anyway, we'll get into that in a couple minutes.
That's in Spoiler Town, guys. Sorry.
Yep. Strong female protagonists.
Yeah. Remember when I said Wes Anderson doesn't pass that one test with independent women that talk to each other, not centered around a man?
All we had to do was leave America. Ooh.
Not that this era in Spain was particularly well to live in, but
Wasn't Del Toro from... He's not American, right?
no, I was saying in this context of this movie, 1944 Spain was also not a safe place. Like, joking about leaving America, I was like, well, this particular era in Spain is not exactly safe to women either.
I was more talking of the director.
Sensibilities of the director, yeah.
I think this is the one that is probably his strongest, and here's the blend of fantasy and reality.
Really obvious in this.
And like remembering some of the other ones, like especially Week 3 has some really strong elements of this as well. Exploration of childhood and innocence.
Yes. Is this just a list of things from Pan's Labyrinth at this point?
Yeah, which is probably why a lot of people called it his magnum opus. But I feel like some of these I can see in his in Pacific Rim. Maybe not as obvious as it is in Pan's Labyrinth and in some of his other movies, but it's just it's I would say this isn't something that he only did once, which is why he's known for it. For example, attention to detail and creature design, which holy crap, everyone how many people still talk about the eye palm monster?
But the thing
today?
That's I was watching the beginning and I was like, wow, this is the era of CGI where they were still figuring it out. And then the puppetry, and I went, oh, they're icky.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting mix because the way that, you were quoting, the fawn or Pan in this movie, he's very like if I saw that as a kid, I personally don't think I could listen to him, even though I know a lot of the...
Because he's speaking Spanish.
No. But, he's scary. And the way that they puppeted him looks really good. And the CGI they did to him was just enough to make his eyes look watery or to, twitch his ears or, very subtle things to make him feel more animated. But, his, the way he, moves around and, bosses her around, me as a kid... Well, okay. In defense of Ophelia, she was escaping a lot of stuff and needed a lot of help with everything going on with her. So I guess, you accept the magic that you can accept, but man, is he freaky.
Yeah.
Also, how brave she was. I mean, like you said, there's the eye guy, and that's kind of what most people probably have seen stills of this movie.
Yes.
But Mia's she walks up to him and looks him up and down and goes, cool. I was like, what do you mean cool? He's hideous. He's horrifying.
Yep. It's and then I just always wonder is just what if she just took his eyes away? What would he do then? Anyway, we'll get into that later. Intricate storytelling and symbolism.
Lots of it.
Fascination with mythology and folklore.
Lots of it. Yeah, this just feels like a list of specifically this movie because, like you said, it doesn't quite apply to the next movie we have on the list.
I think there's stuff where it's not as obvious in the next movie.
Okay.
But there's still a mythology and folklore, but it's created by him rather than pulling kind of in this movie and in the third movie, and I'm guessing in the fourth movie we watch, of just the melding of that. And then the last one, here's a masterful use of color and sound. It's interesting because Wes Anderson, I know everyone talks about his color choices and everything. But I don't know. I feel like I still even though I didn't remember all the story beats of when I watched this movie when I was probably 19 years old, there's still things I remember of like just the colors and like the visuals and stuff.
I remembered certain scenes.
Yeah.
I mixed up movies clearly because I thought something else happened in the end, but yeah,
Mix it up
like
with Hellboy.
for sure. But no, like you said, the guy with the eyes, I remember that scene very well. I remember her first meeting him, the fawn. And then I also remember some of the scenes relating to the her new or the how she tries to help her mother. Like the sequence of events that she does that she thinks or does maybe magical realism, baby. It's I in hindsight. So I've realized a lot of things when I've consumed when I was like my brain was developing has kind of stuck with me in my taste, and I forgot about them. Like my first favorite book was The Giver, and I do like dystopian themes in books. And then I also really like magical realism when it's done well in books. I've read some where I'm like, that wasn't magical realism. You just said there was magic and it was, like it's not the same. But then I watched this and I went, I watched this at a really young age. And this is like perfect magical realism in terms of like representations of, like you said, innocence and youth and all of that.
Yeah, no, it's like going through that list. Yeah, I agree with you. It does feel like we watched Pan's Labyrinth, and
This was the parts that made him a good director.
shoot, there was something else that popped in my mind, and then it left.
That's okay. We have used up our intro time if you want to start rolling dice so we can get into the meat of the movie, because we keep like almost accidentally saying something spoiler town-esque.
I will say, I did mention this before we started recording, but if you guys hear my air conditioner go off, cool. Because it's hot and humid. And I'm like, last time I turned off my air conditioner, and I'm like, ugh. And what was it? 2 apartments ago, I used to turn off my air conditioner and just sweat and die in my apartment. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good.
Growth.
I'm good now.
Self-care.
I'm 36 years old. I can leave my air conditioner on if I want.
It's your electricity bill. You'll pay it if you want to.
No, I have to pay my electricity bill.
You'll raise it for the hour we're chatting. But okay. So, like I mentioned, we have some dice to roll. It's a 12-sided dice. We play a lot of tabletop RPG games that use dice like this. In the case of the podcast, we are watching a different director each month, which adds up to 12 different directors. So, I'm dropping my dice on the floor.
I almost threw my dice on the floor.
Tell me, do you want to count it? Or do you want me to re-roll?
Re-roll.
Re-roll?
Re-roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
So... highest number gets to give a short summary of the movie, and then we will ask each other questions, non-spoiler, and then we will warn you when it's time to hop on the train to Spoiler Town, so that if you want to watch this movie, to which I say, if you know nothing about Pan's Labyrinth, I think you should watch it. Like, going in blind, like, chef's kiss, it's so good. Yes. Then I have to ask you, with watching this, is Akira still your favorite movie we watched this year?
I think Akira is my favorite new movie I watched this year.
Valid.
Not Akira, Ikiru.
Ikiru, yeah. Akira is a very good movie.
Another good movie.
All right.
Why didn't he make the list? Did he have more than one movie?
We had some animated film directors on here. I don't know why they didn't make the final cut.
There's still time.
Well, one that we didn't put in the final cut is because we watched 2 out of his 4 movies already, which was The Winter, Tokyo Godfather director, and what was the second movie you directed?
Millennium Actress?
Yes.
Which, hey, I would totally watch those movies again. You know what? I'm going to put a prompt for next year. Watch a movie again.
All right. But in any case, I did roll my dice. So
did I. I had to, quadruple check to make sure it was right.
Is it your turn this week?
Unless you tied.
I rolled a 4.
I rolled a 12.
So the one that landed on the floor was a 12, and you told me to re-roll it. So good for you.
I was saying reroll because I thought it was a bad roll.
That's why I asked first.
Yep. So I took your floor dice luck. Okay, so Pan's Labyrinth. So we follow a young girl and her pregnant mother to a countryside town in Spain. You said the year 1944.
Yeah, and I'll just say for anybody in case I told everybody to watch this movie. There could be sensitive content because it does take place post a civil war where Spain was dealing with authoritarian rule and messy, violent political happenings, bad people involved. So that's just your heads up, and that's like the first slide of the movie as it loads in. I sorry to interrupt, but I laughed because I got the DVD from my library, put it in, and on the screen it said España 1944, and I paused it because I was like, oh, I don't have a drink to like drink with the movie. And then I looked and it captioned Spain, 1944. I was like, thanks, closed captioners. I would have never been able to connect España and Spain being the same thing. But in any case, continue.
It's also interesting because World War II is still happening.
Yeah, this was literally really messy. And Strider knew a lot about, like, as soon as he sat down, he's like, oh, is the main soldier, the captain, supposed to be one of Franco's men? I was like, Franco? And then I went and read the whole thing about, like, who the head guy was at the time in this very, like, messy time in history for Spain. And I was like, Strider really is a history buff, and I'm just here.
So am I, and I'm not even watching the movie with you guys. I'm like, oh, okay. I know very selective history and a lot of my own fantasy history. But yeah, so they kind of go to the countryside because the mom's husband wants her out there. For reasons we'll cover in Spoiler Town. While they're out there, Ophelia, who is the name of the daughter, gets in touch with the supernatural as a fawn tells her that she's a princess from another world and that she has 3 tests to prove that she is actually this princess, and then she can come back home. All while this is going on, there is like intrigue, warfare, subterfuge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word right, but all this stuff going on as there's just spies and trading information and all this other stuff going on, all on top while Ophelia's mother is having a very rough pregnancy. And all these just build and build and build and build until, well, we'll have to watch the movie or go to Spoiler Town.
Choo choo. Oh, wait.
Woo-hoo.
I have questions for you before we go to
Spoiler Town!
Okay. So
that could be our first t-shirt, Spoiler Town.
It's better than what people told me my t-shirt should have been when I was still
I have
streaming.
that clip. Oh my goodness. I found a clip in my phone that I don't even remember. Like, it's from the podcast.
Okay.
Where you're like, heck with the healthcare or something like that. I'm gonna send it to you.
No, not out of context.
I don't remember what it was. But I'm gonna send it to you now on Discord. But go ahead, ask your questions.
Yeah, one of these days we'll just get a random comment, and I'll be like, I don't remember what I said. But
I'd say that now, and I said it 2 minutes ago.
So yeah. Suddenly I have to yawn. Okay. I'm back.
Sorry for boring you. Gosh.
If this was the only movie you watched by the director,
yes.
Guillermo Del Toro, yes. Both of us. Just, I don't know, like, I think I mentioned this in last week's episode. I think Pan's Labyrinth is my first memory of watching a movie going, movies are good. Because I think, like, being a kid, you're like, oh, I like Disney movies, but they're all kind of like, maybe not the same identical formula, but they all have the same kind of like time slots of like, this is the part where the characters are like fighting, this is the time slot where characters are getting back together, and this is the time slot where they all come together to beat the baddie. This is the first time like I watched a movie and it really like sat with me, and I went, wow, that was a movie. So then we'll just fast forward. How much did you root for the characters in this? I like how you kind of hinted that, okay, for anybody who might be a newer listener, D-Payne always picks the unlikable character and says he roots for them. And is this your first time where you can't pick the unlikable character?
You took the wind out of my sail, because I was gonna joke and was like, the dad he had some good ideas. But no, I I did root for Ophelia. I have to go to the IMDb to remember all their names.
I have it pulled up, so tell me the role.
Yep. I have it here too.
Okay.
Mercedes, I was rooting for her. So Ophelia, Mercedes, and then let's see, probably who the heck was Carmen? I see that on here.
The
and I'm like,
mom.
Oh.
Yeah, a pretty important character.
I don't remember hearing, or well, rather reading her name, so that's why I was confused for a second there. I think definitely those two, and probably the doctor.
Yeah.
The people who you're supposed to support. I'm also was confused because it's like it has their current pictures and not the pictures character from 2006, and so I was like, that's not Ophelia's picture. And then I was like, oh, that's Ophelia now. And I was like, well, Mercedes was also an adult, so but yeah.
I'd say like the same thing for me. I think I also rooted for, so the movie, based on the point of view that it's telling a story from, it says the people in the woods are quote unquote fascist, like supposedly fascist, but they are like guerrilla and not hang out, but they are forced to live in the woods in order to help like topple the regime that's trying to take over everything. I rooted for them as well, outside of like the main characters. I will admit though, I might have looked away from the screen a few times. So I heard Mercedes talk about like her brother, who is an important character that comes up later. And then I looked away and I looked back and she's talking to Pedro and they got really close. And I was like, wow, they're really close to like their siblings. That's kind of like an uncomfortable pose. And then I got to the end of the movie and I went, those are two different people.
Yep.
But that matters much later.
To be fair, it's like
they're all in newsboy hats.
Yeah, there's that, and then it's like, so like, we get like snapshots of the resistance, where we're just like, yeah, if we don't fully, it's like, because it took me a second to realize who they find, and I'm like, who was that? And then they like, he has this certain character feature that we get introduced once in like a scene before, and I'm like, oh. Uh-oh. But as I said, like this, I don't think I said it on the recording. This is two movies combined into one,
but seamlessly put together.
Oh yeah, no, it works, but I'm like, I feel like it. I'll save it for Spoiler Town. Go ahead.
Okay. What grade? I said yeah, pretty much the same characters plus the resistance. What grade would you give the plot?
An E.
my spine.
An E for excellent. Oh. No, definitely A plus. I think this movie has the perfect or near perfect the balance of real world stuff happening and the fantastical mythological craziness that nobody really knows, and it at the end it kind of almost like makes you as a viewer question it as well, like so yeah, I think I think if we only saw Ophelia's point of view in this whole story, we would have been like, okay, well,
What is she
what
so
what
like anxious about? Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I feel like we lose a lot of context, and then once again, if we only had Mercedes and like, which there have been movies that have been like that, like Vidal, Carmen and Mercedes, like all them and the Doctor, but it's not Pan's Labyrinth. It's like the whole showing of this labyrinth that's behind the house has no like meaning. It's just like, here's a cool thing
to them as adults. Yeah.
Yeah, and so unless like they went in and like essentially like the hunting in the labyrinth would take a lot longer. But at that point it'd just be a war movie. How about you?
For me, I think it's a pretty close to an A plus in the same reasons, like you said. Like if it's not a perfect balance, it's like the closest that I can imagine that, or it's the closest balance that I can say I've seen in a movie. Like I think this is like paced in a very good way. Like there's some movies that I really appreciate that we watch, but like the pacing goes back and forth, back and forth. Wes Anderson, the pacing all felt too fast. I didn't get a chance to care about any of the characters before something happened to them. Or they were like, don't you feel bad that this happened? I'm like, who are these people? They feel like more like puppets than people. Whereas like this one is, you're dropped right in, but you get, like you said, the balance between Ophelia having these really like sincere moments of essentially being parentified. Because we also get like short snippets where her mom's like, can you help me? Can you lay with me? Can you set up my medicine? Like little things where she's technically old enough to help, because I believe they say she's like 10. But at the same time, it makes sense why she needs fairy tales essentially to make it through day to day, because everything she could have wanted in life. And then you also have like a lot of unanswered questions that like, as a viewer, you can fill in the blanks pretty easily, but it makes it feel very grounded in how like bad the bad is, unfortunately. Especially the ending. Not gonna go into spoiler town, but yeah, like I don't know. Like I know this is a rewatch for me, but I do think it's up there. Like I thought I was gonna cry to some of the Taika movies, but then I did. Like I was telling D-Pain before we recorded, I can finally say I've cried to a movie this year. I don't even know. I don't think I cried to any A24s last year. No, maybe Moonlight. No. I think I cried to Moonlight.
I don't. Yeah, maybe Moonlight. I think there was I can't remember if there was like a couple.
Yeah, let me look at the movie list.
I feel like you mentioned tears. Like.
Oh, I might have cried during The Whale. Oh, I probably cried during Minari.
All the emotional ones were at the beginning, and then we got into the dumb ones at the end.
Yeah, Past Lives I didn't cry on because it wasn't, like, it didn't feel too close to home for me. Oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Duh. Silly like, me.
I'm like, I think that I remember you mentioning that, but I'm like, I'll wait till you get there.
I had to look through the whole list. But in any case.
Past Lives. I don't know. Yeah, I was like, which one was that? Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, Past Lives, I think, is a very, like, it's like the story that I think you and I did watch this D-Pain, like 5 centimeters per second or things like that. I think Past Lives fits better for people that are emotionally hit by that. I personally haven't experienced that kind of, like, constant, like, misalignment in my life. But in any case, either way, I personally was hoping I would cry to a movie before this is releasing in August, but you know, here we are.
You had tears of frustration at certain other movies.
Yeah, but it's okay.
If you guys want to know what movies are, you can listen to the podcast.
Please and thank you. So then I will ask you, how likely would you recommend this movie to others?
Yes.
Yes.
If our praise of the movie so far didn't convince you to watch it, and you, first off, like, hey, thanks for making this far. If you haven't watched this movie and you're like, I really want to know if this is worth my time. But
yes.
yes, it is the best. I think one of the easiest 2 hour, 120 minutes. It's 2 hours.
It does not feel that long.
Yeah,
In a good way. Like
it doesn't
not
drag.
It's not long. Sorry. I saw that on the A24 list and I was like, wow, that was a really long movie, but it's not. It's just a really long movie.
Yep. So yeah. It was fun. Okay, we're done. Bye. No. Wait, what was that? Spoiler Town.
Choo choo.
Toot toot. All born. My phone turned off. My phone's being silly. My phone is constantly reminding me, it's like, hey, I know you've been saying you're going to replace me, but I'm going to annoy you all the way until you do.
I'm going to convince you to spend the money.
Yeah. Thanks, Samsung. And then all the phones that I want, the government blocked them from selling in here. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm going to hit the time in 3, 2, 1. Toot toot. We're in Spoiler Town.
Where do you want to start?
I don't know. I know I said I was going to say something for Spoiler Town, but
I also
forgot.
said I was going to say something. Okay. I guess I'll start with
Go ahead.
The early scenes of violence.
Oh, yeah.
Like, something about me was, like, I didn't want to laugh that after he, like, smashes that guy's face in, that he opens the bag and it turns out they're telling the truth. And I was like, it's not funny, but it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just a simple line of, like, do your stinking job before you get me.
Don't wake me up in the middle of the night if you can't even search a bag. It's like, that poor farmer family, he literally got up on the wrong side of the bed. And that's the only reason that they had to deal with that.
Yeah, I'm like, man, this is going on for a while. And then it's like, it gets you, like, kind of, like, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Speed.
No.
It is a Keanu Reeves. Well, it's not a Keanu Reeves movie, but he is the main actor in there, and it's this bus.
I've seen the beginning set up for it, but I've never watched the full thing.
Okay, so there's a scene in there that is the climactic end, and it's like, yes, for what we want to do, it is too expensive to do multiple times. So we're going to make sure we get every single camera shot of this scene. Mm. And so we all that's going on, and the scene, like, we see this, like, the most expensive shot in the movie, and it's like 8 different camera angles. It's like, no, you guys are gonna see this 8 different times. And it's almost what it felt like watching the stinking wine bottle getting. I'm like, that man's face is so squishy. It's still squishing. It's still okay.
It's definitely a really good precursor to, like, how uncaring of a person this main character is. Especially because, like, really the only glimpse we have of him is the earlier scene where he's, like, really possessive over his unborn child.
Yes. I feel like we get an even earlier scene that shows how uncaring he is when Ophelia is, like, his first, like, on camera scene with Ophelia, and Carmen is like, hey, say hi to your father, and in my mind it's like, that ain't your daddy.
And but, she reminds everybody of that too. Yeah. So good for her.
Yeah. And it's just like, she goes to hold her hand out, and he's like, grabs, and he's like, that's the wrong hand, and then, like, just, like, kind of throws it away and just like, I'm leaving. And it's like, in the back, it's just like, you see Mercedes just like, oh, poor baby, and it's just like, get up and punch him.
Yeah, I mean, we also have the other scene where when they're pulling up, like, the reason that, like, the beginning of the movie, like, you get a lot of character development in, like, the first 5 minutes where Ophelia is, like, you get the introduction to, like, the fantasy story, she's reading her book, and her mother's, like, trying to force her to grow up and, like, get over it. But then she's also, like, clearly ill because she needs to, like, take a break from a car ride up. Like, that's how, like you said, she's having a really tough time with the pregnancy. And then as soon as they pull
15 minutes.
Yeah, he cares about their timing as if like you have a very pregnant wife and you have an in-house doctor that was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Like, and then he has his superstition about everything. But I also really love the like tiny detail of him fixing the broken watch and you don't know why for like a good hour. And then they bring it up and he goes, well, watch.
Yeah.
But I don't have a watch. Like the little baby of a man he is.
I will say, before we are introduced to everything like of his character, I feel like there is, and this is before we know who he is, where there could be some form of defense of his like, oh, they're 15 minutes late. The only, and I'm not saying that this is more to play devil's advocate rather than like I believe this, but it's just like they are in a time of like, hey, there's this whole resistance in the woods. Everything is like, we have to keep track of time, soldiers, and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, how long do we wait because you're late? Where these like freedom fighters are out in the wood, and we have to go hunt you down because they got taken. It's like, okay, 15 minutes. Okay, you're 15 minutes late. I'm annoyed, but hey, you're here.
But in the opposite direction, if he was scared for them, he could have gone into the woods.
Yeah, I agree.
He has a lot of resources, and we learn that throughout the movie. He is very wealthy. He is not hungry. He is not wanting for anything, but he's in control of a lot of people's safety. But I was explaining this to Strider. I think another great thing that the movie does is they make the villain believable as to like how he got to his position. Some movies, I feel like we watch it and we're like, why is the bad guy allowed to like be the strong bad guy? Because they're not very smart. Like they're just like there. Like we're just supposed to believe that he's the bad guy. And then in here, he has a lot of like those moments where I'm like, I don't want to respect you, but you're so smart. You're just really prideful. Like, in some ways we get to watch him kind of uncover who's not actually on his side.
Yes.
Like when he finds the glass medicine and he starts putting it together. And then also when he realizes the lock to the storage area is unlocked. And the way that he's like, hey, Mercedes, go get me a drink. She's like, okay. He's like,
where's the key?
Yeah, I thought I had the only key. She's like, oh, you do? He's like, speaking of, and I was like, oh, he's so evil. He's so smart and he's so evil.
Yes. Yeah. It is refreshing to have an intelligent bad guy. Where it's just...
It makes him so much more hateable because you're like, somebody needs to knock him down a notch. And I think at one point I said to Sorry, I was like, imagine being this guy in power and being bested by two women back to back.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like it's, and there's like other details like in there. It's like we were just focusing on the captain, but there's like little things where it's just details with Mercedes where it's like she's multiple times where it's just like you see her preparing food and then it's just like, okay, cleans the knife, wraps it up, and it's like if you're sitting there it, like
your first watch, yeah,
it's like, okay, why is there such like, look at her do this is like, okay, cool, and then it's just like when they finally figure out that she is the one that was selling him out, it was like, alrighty, and then it's just like, oh, secret knife coming in clutch.
Yeah,
so.
And especially because like to also take it a little bit back to the captain, where like the one guy's like, you want me to stay? He's like, no, it's a woman. You think I can't handle a woman? And I'm like, yeah, take that, sucker. I also love, like, I couldn't help but laugh at his guy being obsessed with lottery tickets. Like, again, like a really silly detail, but it is really important because, like, they find the one camp and they find a lottery ticket. He's like, you forgot your lottery ticket. And the captain's like, anyway. And then she handles the captain and starts running away. And the guy's like, hey, why would the captain let her go like that? And he's like, shh, I'm listening to my lottery tickets.
Yeah. Well, like, and that's another detail that they mentioned earlier, like when they have the stutterer, and he's just like, it's like count to 3, and you can walk out of here. And it's like they say, and he turns to the other guy. He's like, hey, like, if I let him go, who's gonna say no? And it's just like nobody. And so the fact that they see Mercedes walking around out there, and it's just like, oh, they let her go, huh? Weird. But it's just like they don't really react to it until he's coming out just like, get her.
Yeah,
like,
guns blazing, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's yeah, it is interesting. You know what? The second watch. This is my second watch. I haven't watched this more than I don't think I haven't watched this to my memory another time since the first time. But I remember the one thing until they mentioned it that I forgot about was the frog. I completely forgot about the frog.
Yeah, I forgot about the frog, and I think I mentioned this a little bit. Where, like, at first I was nervous coming into this movie. I was like, okay, it's from 2006. Some stuff's going to be outdated. And there's a lot of CGI forward stuff. Like, you have who she says is a fairy, and then you have the frog, and I'm like, this is like... I was like, did I watch this at the right time that this didn't look bad, or am I forgetting about this stuff? And then we see Pan come through, and I'm like, no, okay. There is good puppetry. It's just not these.
Yes.
The frog was gross, though, when it actually happened. Again, Ophelia is much stronger than me. Because if I saw a frog turn inside out, I would not pick up the key.
I wouldn't have made it that far into the tree.
In the first place, covered in leeches and beetles. And...
Yeah, I'm like, ugh.
She's also really smart, which is also refreshing to see in, like, the character. Like, it feels like she doesn't happen to have things happen to her. Like some of the movies that we've watched, but it feels like she was very active in her story and that she had to actually figure things out for herself. And she makes mistakes. Pretty big mistakes, but mistakes.
Yeah. But in watching this, because like when I think of Pan's Labyrinth, I don't think of Mercedes, Carmen, and Captain Vidal. Like before this watch, I remember 2 out of the 3 tests. Really, I only remember the second test. Now that I think about it,
it's such a scary scene.
Yes, but it's like I remember that whole thing, and in the second watch, I'm like, there's so much more to what is happening in the, I guess, the material plane compared to fairy, like the underworld fairyland stuff. And it's like, I think it's like 2/3 of it is like this war drama, and then there's a third sprinkling of Ophelia. Like there's so many scenes where it's just like, I think when this movie, the way it's sold, which I think it's really smart, is, hey, this girl's doing all these tests. Let's see if she's going to do it. And that's just like this sprinkling of, sprinkling is underselling it, but it's like,
it's just one part of
this one part, but it's not like the whole story. And then I remember the question I was going to ask is, and I feel like if we look on the internet, we could see cases for both sides. Do you think that Ophelia was actually talking to the faun, and all these magical things were happening, or was this her all in her head and she was mentally adjusting and all that?
So, I ate pasta right before we started recording, and now my body's like, you're digesting pasta, it's sleepy time. So sorry for audio listeners. But yeah, like, Strider did ask me this too. He said the big question about this movie is the magic real? And I don't know, I have back and forth, because there are the little moments, like when she does the whole mandrake thing and puts it underneath her mother's bed, And the doctor's like, I have no clue why you're better, but you're better. Your fever's broken. You're able to, like, sleep. You don't need your medicine as much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, like, you have that little glimpse of Vidal coming in and not seeing Pan, even though she's supposed to be having an active conversation with him. But of course, it could be argued to the point she's the daughter of the moon or something. Like, she has the moon scar on her, so he would naturally only make himself visible to her.
Yeah.
Or also, like, the joke of, what's tricks if it's shaped like, if it's only shaped like fruit because you're a kid.
Yeah.
Because they had that small time where they decided to get rid of the shapes, and everyone said, oh, it's because you're old now. You don't have the magic of viewing things like a kid anymore. Mm-hmm. So there's different arguments to that. I personally, I think I ascribe to the belief that it was mainly a coping mechanism and escapism in which she felt like she finally had power and agency, because at this point in the story, all she knows is her father passed away in the war, which is, to me, I don't believe that's true.
I think Captain Vidal killed her.
Yes, because at the dinner party, you have, like, the one-liner where they're like, how'd you meet? Oh, my husband made the uniforms for him, and then he died, so I had to take over the shop. And then, like, we knew each other for a year, and I'm already having his baby. I was like, that's a really tight timeline.
Yeah.
It's a really tight timeline.
Well, and then Vidal's like, yeah,
don't talk about these stories. Yeah. So, but as far as she's aware, she's like, I lost my father. My mother is having another kid. This kid is making my mom so sick, and all I want is my mom, because it's the only, like, thing that I have right now. I've been forced to move. And there's this evil guy who keeps trying to call himself my dad. And, like, with how sick her mom is, how displaced she is, she doesn't have anybody else her age, and she also has no semblance of a childhood at this point, especially with, like you said, both world wars are, like, within, like, very tight time frames of this. Mm-hmm. So I personally ascribe to it being a form of escapism where she finally feels like she has agency and she can make a choice. Because she has that moment in the movie where she's told, hey, these are the rules. And she's like, but, like, everything I've done so far has worked. So this is my chance to enjoy something for myself. To which, blah. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's so, like, crunchy. It's the best way I can describe it. And droopy. But, like, she starts to feel powerful in the way that Vidal does, and prideful, right? And in her pride, she thinks she can do things that are outside of the rules, and she gets immediate consequences for it. So, yeah, like, for me, I don't think the magic was real, personally, but I do think it's, like, a really great form of allegory to explain kind of, like, that whole loss of innocence that she was going through. And how she was trying... Because 10 is also a very weird age. Like, you're being told you can't believe in, like, your childhood stories anymore, but you're also too young to make adult decisions. So, yeah, That's where I land. How about you?
I lead into... There's really one thing that... that I guess does... bring questions, because I feel like the Mandrake, I feel like, because there has been, like, medical anomalies where it's just like someone completely gets better, and then when she's feeling better and when he throws the Mandrake into the fire,
it's
immediate, but at the same time it's like she is woken up out of everything to her husband pretty much
stressing her out, and along with all the other stressors, the baby, like, and there's medical history of children being born early due to stress, and it's very dangerous for the mother, especially in that time when they didn't have all the medical advancements that we do now. Mm-hmm. And so it's like that one I could see, and I think it's, whether it's done on purpose or not, is still fine. Like, I feel like that one could be either or. The big thing that I feel, and it's purposely left off camera, is the chalk. Mm-hmm. The only time we see the chalk work on camera is when she goes into the other scene, the other
eyeball man room. But there's all that being said, there's that too.
Yeah, she's locked in her room, but she makes it out.
Yeah,
and there's chalk on the wall. Yeah,
there's chalk on the wall. Like there's the chalk square, but it's like it's still sealed at that point, and like she's just in that room, which it's just like I don't know it. But the thing is, like I think at that point, like we see people go in and out in there, so it's like I feel like that's the one thing that could bring questions to like how like is the magic real, or did she find like a way? And it's like I think that's purposely kept vague. But it's like I don't know, the whole thing that which like that was the test that the fawn was doing the whole time, where it's just like all the tests, it's like, hey, get the key gets you the knife is for the baby, and it's like cool
maybe.
yes, but it's like, but no, that was the final test. You needed to like not sacrifice innocence and all that stuff. And so it's, and then like even the last scene where I think it was done really well, of like we see Ophelia talking with the air from Vidal's
point of view.
And so I think I would lean more on, as you were saying, the coping side of it. But yeah, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
As far as like the ending, I would love to believe it's real, because again, I started to cry as soon as like Mercedes starts singing the lullaby. I'm sad now, actually. But yes, that whole scene as soon as Mercedes sings the lullaby makes me want to believe the magic is real, because I would love to believe that Ophelia gets a happy ending.
Yeah, so I was just scrolling through a Reddit post to be like, what does it say here? And it's just like, it's kind of mentioning,
all the themes.
Yeah. There's one who's like, I interpret as a girl escaping the horror of her life in the real world and dying in the fantasy envisioned to give her courage, and then proceeded to cry like a little baby in the end.
Same. But yeah, like I want to say, like, despite how beautiful like the ending comes together and it all kind of like fits into the story and the narrative in a way that like you said, kind of like seams in all the story together, my favorite scene in the whole movie is when Vidal goes, "Tell my son who I am," and Mercedes goes, "No."
Yes.
Just flat so out. He will not
never know who
you
are.
And he's like, oh, it's such a good scene. Because, yeah, like, I kind of mentioned it in the beginning where he has this broken stopwatch that he's fixing as, like, this little detail. And at the dinner party, they go, hey, whatever happened to, like, your dad? Your dad was so cool. He was the coolest guy ever. And, like, when he died, he slammed his stopwatch on a rock. So you would always remember the hour and minute he died. And he just goes, my dad never had a watch. And everyone's like, anyway. And that, yeah, like, he proceeds to try and do the same thing. He has the repaired stopwatch that he's been holding around the whole time. And he's like, he slams it and he goes, here, give this to my son. And Mercedes is like, nah. But, no. But, yeah, and then you have, like, there's so much, like, depth to, like, the material world part, especially as an adult watching it back. Because I think watching the Ophelia part when you're a young adult is really, like, interesting, because you're in that kind of headspace of, like, fantasy is great, but also everyone's telling you to grow up, but, like, what does that mean? And then as an adult now with a fully formed brain, I'm watching it and going, man, Mercedes is, like, the coolest character. How did I not really remember her when the first time I watched this?
Yeah.
And then her poor brother, and then the poor doctor. There's so much, like, talking about it all in a half hour, it does not seem fair.
And then she comes back, like, she's like, no, I want you to remember this. And then comes back to, like, blow up trains and everything's like, I'm getting the girl. Went full Liam Neeson Taken.
I know, and, like, Because they also had the recruits that they mentioned calling back because they had like 50 other men coming. But it was wild when they like blow up the trains and he's like, "What did they steal? What supplies?" He's like, "Nothing."
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to waste our time. And he's like, "What?" "Oh, the explosion." And he goes, "I have to go home."
Yeah. I was scrolling through this Reddit article, and they have parts here where Del Toro, that it's like an interview they had, and it was like, the interview was like, again referring back to the dynamic of the Dryad, Mercedes notices the chalk door. They aren't just in Ophelia's imagination. Del Toro's answer is, objectively, those two clues tell you that it's real. The third clue is she's running away from her stepfather. She reads the dead end, and by the time he shows up, she's not there.
That was a very cool effect, too.
Yes. I forgot about that part. Because the wall's open for her. So he's like, sorry, there are clues to tell you where I stand, and I stand by the fantasy. Those are the objective things that you want. And he's like, the film's a Rorschach test for where people stand. And so I could see both. Like, yeah, I forgot about... Oh, I just blinded myself. I forgot about the dead end scene because it's so fast. But, yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Going off of what Del Toro says. She got that happy ending. And so, I'm trying to think if there was... I felt like there was something else, and my brain can't remember it. I did see in the Wikipedia, I don't know if we wanted to look at...
I found trivia that was really cool. There's a lot of really cool trivia for the movie. Okay. But I got
I guess before we go into the trivia stuff, there's one thing I wanted to mention because it's like... We were mentioning, yes, Vidal is insane and all that stuff, and like we were talking about that last scene with Mercedes like coming in and just like looking for Ophelia and just pretty much like, we're burning this place to the ground, and we're taking out that. I think one thing that it's like, because at this point, like, Vidal is like, we're made to hate this man for very good reasons. But it's like, I think, like, looking at it, it is very easy to overlook the scene of after he gets jokered, pretty much, where he's like, I'm sitting there watching that, and it's like, it's one of the certain body things I don't like watching, and it's like him doing surgery on himself to sew that up, and I'm just like, dude, this guy, like, once again, just to prove the point of, no, he didn't get here because of trickery or all that stuff. Like, this dude can mess people up. Like, if he didn't, like, it's so interesting to be like, the only reason he got messed up is because he didn't, like, he was like, a woman's not going to do it. He let his guard down. And all that stuff. And then it's just like, at that point, it's just like, even at the end, like, because like they give Ophelia spikes his drink with the stuff that with his mom.
Aid. Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't understand. Like, I don't remember how much she put in, but I'm just like, well, I don't know why you didn't just like pour it all in there. But
yeah, it's supposed to be 2 drops for her mother and no more. And she put like a whole like dropper full in there.
Yeah,
and he's like, he's
and he shakes it off. Yeah, like he's like, ooh, I'm a little wibbly wobbly. Which it's like, I don't know. I feel like people, like, going back to the Labyrinth opens to let Ophelia through, like, it could be his kind of drunken, almost stupor. There's just like, did I turn the right way? But that's not how it's shot. But, yeah, it's the fact that it's like, he's like, my head's a little wibbly wobbly, and then it's a little wibbly wobbly until I get into the Labyrinth. And then it's just like, I'm like, dude, he fought that off.
Yeah, well. He pushes it. Yeah, and the
he's a scary man. Add him to Dead by Daylight.
Strider said that like a scene that freaked him out too is the sewing scene. So he wasn't gonna watch the movie with me because he was like busy with something else. But he finished up what he was doing early and sat down next to me. He was like, "Oh wait, is the scene coming up?" So like I held a blanket over his eyes and I watched it for him until it was over because he was nice enough during Moonrise Kingdom. I was like, "Tell me when I can look back at the." Or no, not Moonrise. No, it was Moonrise Kingdom. I was like, let me know when I can look at the screen again because animal death. He was like, it's still happening. It's still on this. Okay, you can look now. But yeah, so I hit his face for a minute, and after he sews himself up, he goes and takes a shot of the liquor, and Strider's like, he shouldn't do that. And then the actor like, and then like bleeds and like leaks liquid out in the bandage. I was like, and then he takes a second. He wants to go for a second shot. I was like,
And he does.
He got distracted by chalk, but yes, he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's, I don't know what, well, I know why, but it's just like, there's some things I'm just like, there's another movie where, what's it called? The Collector, where it's pretty much from the same people who made Saw. And it's one of those things like the serial killer in that sews a woman's lips shut, and in that movie like she has to do the opposite of like undoing the things, and I'm just like, that's always what I think of, and I'm like, that's uncomfy. But yeah, but anyway, what's the trivias?
Oh, okay, so
we're out of time, but we can do a couple trivias.
All right, so the short things I'll say is apparently Guillermo Del Toro is famous for making books full of like notes and drawings for his ideas for films. And he apparently accidentally left this in the back of the cab, and then the cab driver found a way to return it to him. So Del Toro was like, "Oh, I got to make the film because the cab driver like didn't just run away with it. He got it back to me." Apparently he writes all the English subtitles himself because he doesn't, or at least for this movie, because he doesn't trust translators from previous subtitled movies, which I will say the English subtitling to this was like clean. It was perfect. It says he gave up his entire salary because he refused to take offers from Hollywood producers that asked that he make the movie in English, and he was like, no, I'm not compromising. This is my vision. So good for him.
Yeah, I feel like if this was in English, like
the plot wouldn't make as much sense.
Well, and I think we would lose a lot of it, like a lot of the feeling.
It says, so this one I thought was a really fun fact. The captain's room is made to look like the inside of his father's watch to represent his troubled mind. Because he has his pride and he's really obsessed with like being the man, like the really masculine type of guy. Because I remember looking at the back, I was like, that's a weird shaped mill. Why would this mill have giant like wooden wheels like that?
Well, now I gotta go watch the movie again.
Oh no.
Oh man. Was there any other ones?
So for some of the puppeteering, so the example for the fawn, he was not CGI. Instead, they made like a special contraption to put like the legs, the fawn legs, over top the actor's real legs, and then they erased the actor's legs digitally after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, the fawn was inspired by a lucid dream that he had repeatedly when he was a child. Every midnight, he would wake up and a fawn would gradually step out from behind a grandfather clock.
Well, it explains his whole
detail, yeah. And then, what was it? Mercedes randomly goes, "My mother never told me to never trust a fawn." And Ophelia's like, whatever.
Yep, I remember that. Well, she gets cut off. Like, I think she gets called away before she can explain. So, cool. Any other fun ones?
Apparently, so Doug Jones, he's pretty famous for like playing a lot of the like monster-y type characters in these movies. So he's both Pale Man and the Fawn. It says here, it took 5 hours for Doug Jones to get into the Pale Man costume, and he had to look through the nose holes to find out where he was going while in the costume. And then it also says that he had to memorize his lines in Spanish and also the main lead female actor's lines in Spanish because Spanish is not his first language. So he had to like figure it out. And then it also says the fawn horns he wore weighed 10 pounds.
Each?
It just says his horns weighed 10 pounds. So I'm going to guess together.
Okay.
Oh.
Was Pale Man the don't eat food?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the name they give him.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, he's the only American that was on the set for this and the only one who didn't speak Spanish. And Del Toro's the only bilingual person that was on that whole set for that movie.
Oh, man, they must have gotten real close.
Yeah.
Is he in other movies?
Yeah, if you look him up, you'll recognize him immediately.
Let me rephrase it. Was he in any more Del Toro movies?
I don't know. Usually I see Doug Jones credited with, like, being in costume because he has kind of... Mm-hmm. Oh, he's in The Shape of Water. He's in Hellboy.
Hellboy. He's Abe. Okay. Yeah. Like, as I was looking at him, and then I'm like, as soon as I said Abe, I'm like, I can see that.
But I think he's kind of like... So, remember in Alien and Prey... Or Predator, not Prey. The same actor wore the monster costume because he was very tall. Yeah. I think Doug Jones has that, and I think Doug Jones also has, like, flexibility to him that other people don't have. I don't remember if it's, like, he's the Baron in What We Do in the Shadows.
The Baron? Which
one was the old one that everyone wants to sleep with.
Oh. He gets around. He's also the Silver Surfer.
Mm. But that's why I said, I was like, you will recognize him. It's just like, he's usually in like monster makeup. Something for me, he was the zombie in Hocus Pocus too. I wonder if he was the zombie in the first Hocus Pocus.
He's in a movie that we're watching coming up.
Yeah.
Is he in both the movies coming up? I don't know, because I don't know when next week's movie came out. I think it was 2012. Anyway, I'm also scrolling through and I just see him credited as Smoking Jesus. Yeah. Shall we inform them what we're watching next, or is there any other cool thingies?
I hope that if you've seen this movie already and you heard us talk about it, that you decide to rewatch it.
Yeah. Do that. Or else. The TV show. Okay. I was thinking of the movie and I'm like, I don't remember the movie. Okay, there we go. Yep. Now I looked it up. I'm like, there we go. Now I've remembered who it is.
The Baron. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was just remembering the movie because we watched that for the show, for the cast. But next week we are doing a little movie called Pacific Rim,
which you're excited about, right?
I do like this movie. I saw this movie in theaters. If I could figure out how we could watch... Well, we almost had Godzilla movies on here, but I didn't like the rest of that guy's thing. And I wish that I don't even know who directed Godzilla 0, but I wouldn't... Or Godzilla -1.
Yeah, we should have put that on the list and just watch the Godzilla -1 and then it in gray, because I think Netflix also released it where it's like all gray. So that's 2 out of the 4 right there.
2 out of 4. Now I'm curious. I'm going to look it up after we finish the podcast, but finish the episode. But yeah, we're going to be doing Pacific Rim. I have no problem saying that this, after watching this movie, when did it come out? Pacific Rim 2013. Yeah, this might have been my obsession for a while. I don't think it was my whole personality, but it was a big obsession, and mainly because I like giant robots and giant monsters.
Kaiju, baby.
Yep. it also is what introduced me to Charlie Day. So
That's really funny.
yeah. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. And we will see you guys next time. And yeah. I forgot what I was about to say because I'm literally looking at the poster for Pacific Rim. So until next time, talk to y'all later. Toodles.